Hello, I'm Patty Simpson with Simpson Math. Let's find the probability for the experiment of having 3 children. So earlier we found the sample space and the symmetric sample space for having 3 children. And we saw that the sample space and the symmetric sample space were not the same thing. When we find probabilities, we need to make sure that we are using our symmetric sample space to find those probabilities. So we're going to use the symmetric sample space that we found earlier to help us find the probability. So what is the probability that we have 2 boys and 1 girl? I'm going to write that in the notation that we use for probability, where I say the probability that we have 2 boys and 1 girl. Remember that with probability, that's a ratio of our event out of our total number of outcomes. So the first thing I'm going to look for is the number of ways that we can have 2 boys and 1 girl. And I'm going to look here where it's equally likely those outcomes, not at my sample space. If I look at my sample space, it looks like it's 2 out of 4 possibilities. But if we look at our symmetric sample space, we see there are actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different ways that we can have 3 kids. That's the total number of outcomes is 8. So that 8 is going to be my denominator. Then I'm looking for the number of ways that I can have 2 boys. So how can I have 2 boys? Well, I can have 2 boys here, a boy and then a boy and then a girl. Or I could have a boy and then a girl and then a boy. Or I could have a girl and then a boy and then a boy. And those are the 3 ways that I can have 2 boys. So there are 3 out of the possible outcomes where I can have 2 boys. What's the probability that we have 3 girls? So again, in that notation we use for probability, we have 3 girls. Or I could say that as 0 boys. That's the same thing as having 3 girls. In our sample space, I wrote it that way, as 0 boys. That's the same thing as having 3 girls. Well, there's only 1 out of the 8 possibilities where we have no boys. So the probability that we have 0 boys is 1 out of my 8. So we see that the probability of having 0 boys is not the same as having not the same as the probability of having 2 boys. And using the symmetric sample space helps us to find that probability. So being able to find your symmetric sample space is really important in probability. Math Made Simple is Simpson Math. Thanks for watching.